welcome to episode 9 of the Noble Character Crafts podcast. My name is Amy, and you can find me online on Instagram and Etsy at Noble Character Crafts. You can find me on Ravelry at Noble Character, and I also have a group for this podcast on Ravelry under Noble Character Crafts Podcast. In that group, you will be able to find the show notes for this episode and previous episodes, so please join me over there. Today is Friday, December 29th, 2017, and I am coming to you from eastern Nebraska, where I live on a farm with my husband and our 5 children. This is a podcast all about my life as a knitter, a crocheter, and a hand dyer of yarn. Thank you so much for joining me. A huge welcome to any new and returning viewers. Thank you so much for joining me, and I hope you enjoy this episode. So first, just an announcement about the current knit along that is going on right now. Kay of the Crazy Sock Lady podcast and I are co-hosting a knit along for any projects that include cables. So this is called the Cable Cow, and it started on November 1st and is running until February 1st. So you can certainly join in with any projects that you have that include cables. They can, their whips are allowed as long as they're less than 50% complete. And yeah, you can join both Kay's group at the Crazy Sock Lady podcast and my group. We both have chatter threads and finished object threads. So if you have any projects that have cables or anything that you'd like to start and finish before February 1st, you are sure welcome to join us. Okay, so I'm going to start off with my first finished object, which is my stripy sampler socks. So I am really pleased with how these turned out. I just called them my stripy sampler socks because I was trying out some different patterns to put into the stripes. So that was fun just to try out those different stitch patterns. I made these on 1.5 millimeter needles, which is US 1.5s, which is 2.5 millimeter needles. And I cast on 64 stitches. I did a 2x2 ribbing for 20 rows for the cuff, and I used my own hand-dyed yarn. The main color is Cold Water, and the heel and the toe is my Spring Rain colorway. And then for the stripes, I used Knit Picks Felici in the Cheshire Grain colorway. I did a rounded toe and Kitchener the toe, and I did an afterthought heel. Let's see, anything else for these? Last time I podcasted, I was on the second sock, was right there. That stitch marker is from Amanda of Little Bitty Delights. So I'm really pleased that these are finished, but I'm really not pleased with my laddering still. Is a problem. In fact, the first sock is better than the second sock. I am so frustrated with my laddering. This one is really bad. Oh, I'm so frustrated with that. But I was watching a New to Me podcast, which is the Milk Thistle podcast. She's out of Australia. And she suggested trying the ChowGoo red cable minis because the cable is a lot thinner. And so I just got this in the mail. Well, the cable is a lot less stiff. It is thinner as well, but it's also it's more flexible. And so she thought that that was the best. She was really happy with that for making socks with. So I got that, but you also have to order the adapter piece to go from my small interchangeable set to the mini cable. You have to order an adapter piece, which I did order, but it didn't arrive yet. So this tip or this cable connector is much smaller than the end of the regular small interchangeable set. So you have to order a piece that connects those two. So anyway, I'm waiting on that, and then I'm excited to try them on my next pair of socks. Because I don't know what else to do with my laddering. I try to make sure that those end stitches are really tight before I switch to the next needle. But then I looked online on a few tutorials of how to fix laddering, and the one I looked at said, if you think you need to be tighter, you actually need to knit looser. But when I knit looser, the laddering becomes even worse. So I don't think that that is accurate for me anyway. I think I need to knit tighter on the end and the beginning of each row, because that's where the stitches are too loose. And if I do knit it tighter, if I really try to remember to knit it tighter, then it seems to do a little bit better. But I don't know what was wrong with me on this second sock. I'm not happy with it. But actually I haven't blocked these yet, so maybe that laddering will go away once they're washed and blocked. I hope so. Anyway, I think that's all I have to say on these. I can't think of anything else. So anyway, it was fun to do those stripes, and I might do that again sometime. Okay, my second finished object I don't have with me to show you because it's my husband's hat that I made for him for Christmas, and I was able to get it done in time, but he is actually at work and wearing it, so, which is good. He likes it, it fits. In fact, it's been bitterly cold here lately, like in the negative, below 0 Fahrenheit, and, really cold. So he actually has worn it a few times as a lining underneath his other hat that I was trying to copy the size of. I was able to copy his fleece hat pretty accurately as far as the dimensions of it, so I was really pleased with how it turned out. So he's actually worn the knitted hat underneath the fleece hat a few times, which I think he did today because, well, it's not here, so he must be off. He must have it with him. But anyway, I will hopefully be able to take a picture of it and insert that here so you can see it. I made the bank head hat, which is by Knit Natural, and that is a free pattern, but then I adapted it quite a bit. So you can check my Ravelry page for the details on what I did with that project. But I just kind of made it up. I made the actual hat quite a bit shorter than what the pattern called for, and then I picked up stitches along the side and back and knit a longer ribbed section that goes along the neck, and then I knitted flaps that strap underneath the chin and include a buttonhole. So anyway, I will include all of the notes in my Ravelry page for that project. Oh shoot, I forget the needle size. I don't have the right page, but again, it's all on my project page, so sorry about that. I did use my own hand-dyed yarn on my Lenora base, which is a worsted weight 100% superwash merino in my life-giving colorway. So I was happy I got that done in time for Christmas, though. It was a super fast knit because of the worsted weight, of course. Okay, so I have several whips right now. This is the only whip that you've seen before. All the other works in progress are new cast-ons. So this one I'm a little bit disappointed with, though. So this is in my Creative Frenzy project bag. And these are, I forget what I'm calling them. I don't know. I don't remember what I'm calling them, but they're my own made-up pattern, kind of. So anyway, the cuff is 25 rows of 1x1 twisted ribbing. I'm using my own hand-dyed yarn again on my pitter patter base, which is my 75-25 blend. The rib color is Gracious. And then for the body, I am using, again, my own hand-dyed yarn on my Sweetness colorway and Night colorway. And I am using a slip stitch pattern that I got from the Southbound Train shawl that I test knitted for Amber Crawley of Maker's Haven. She used this stitch in her shawl, and so I just used it in this sock. So that stitch marker is marking where I was last time I podcasted, and I love the look of this, but the fit is too tight. I can barely get it over my heel. I have a very high instep, and I think just because, well, I don't know exactly why it's so tight, the material here in the body of the sock is super thick, I think because of the 2 strands of yarn that you're carrying. But I was surprised that it was so tight and not very flexible, because it's actually not color work, it's just slip stitches that make it give this neat striping pattern. But I am seriously considering frogging this because I just don't think I'll like the fit of it. I can put it on my sock blocker really easily, but putting it on my foot is not as easy. And I just don't think I'll be as happy with it. Besides that, I use DPNs for the cuff, and my laddering using DPNs is even worse than when I use Magic Loop method, so I'm really unhappy with the cuff section. So I don't know, I'm a little bit undecided, but kind of leaning towards frogging these. I haven't worked on them in a long time, ever since I tried them on for the first time and was like, my word, these are so tight. Then I put it down and I haven't picked them up since. So I don't know. Oh, I'm using size 1, 2.25 millimeter needles. The cuff was done in a size 0, however. And then I switched to a 1. Okay. My next work in progress is I love it, much less frustrating. So I have started the Time Trades Shawl by Caitlin Hunter, and I am having so much fun working on this. It's actually the project that I want to work on the most, but you know, a few other projects have also been started. This is in my Allison Barnes collection project bag. And I am currently on the 2nd section of, actually I have no idea how many sections. There's 5 sections in the first half. Maybe there's 10 sections altogether. I don't know. I know there's 5 sections in the first half. So anyway, I'm in the 2nd section. So this shawl this is the width of it, and then it's very long. So it's more of a, I guess more of a wrap, but I don't know, how do you define what's the difference between a shawl and a wrap? I guess I'm not sure, but you know, it's kind of like a really wide scarf. Anyway, it has this beautiful lace pattern. And so you start with the darkest color in a gradient set. And I used my night colorway to start with. And then I have worked into my Honor colorway. And this is all on my Radiant base, which is a 70% superwash merino and 30% silk fingering weight. And then I've just inserted a stripe of my Steadfast colorway, which I'm still perfecting. I mentioned last time I haven't got that color perfected yet, but anyway, then there are 2 more colors in the gradient set. Oh, they're right back here. Can you see them on my dresser? This darker color is my Satisfied colorway. Oh, this is really hard. Right there. Satisfied colorway. And then I will go into the Tranquil colorway. And then I will go into this color, which is my Abundance. And lastly, the Sweetness colorway. So that's how it will, the gradient set will get lighter and lighter, and then you start the speckled colorways. So anyway, I am really loving this. This is going to be a gift for my friend. And this is done on size 6 needles, which is 4 millimeter. And I say this every time, but all of my needles are ChowGoos. So all the ones that I use anyway. So I really am so happy with this, and I can't wait to get it blocked to really show off that lace work. And I really think my friend is going to squeal with excitement when she receives it. So I'm excited to work on that some more. Right. Okay, my next work in progress is another test knit that I am doing. This is in another My Creative Frenzy project bag. And I am test knitting a new pattern by Nicole Bracey of Woolfield. And this is her prongs socks. Isn't that a beautiful cable pattern? I saw it on Instagram and she was asking for test knitters, and so I was like, oh, I would love to test knit that. It's so pretty. So I haven't gotten very far yet. I just cast this on not too long ago. So actually I just finished the ribbing on the first sock. It is a 3x1. Oh, it's gonna blow out. Oh, there, that's better, kind of. Such a light color. This is my Tranquil colorway. And it is on my Pitter Patter base again. Yeah, it's so light, it's gonna be hard to show, but it's just a very light pink. So hard to get the right, there, that's better. Anyway, I just thought that would really be a nice solid color to show off the cabling. So I can't wait to start the cable section now. I love doing cables. And it will be part of the cable cowl. I'll be able to participate in my own cowl a little bit. So also very excited to get to work on those a little bit more. Okay, my husband mentioned that his feet were cold the other night, and so I was wearing my new socks that I recently finished, the ones that I made with the Knit Picks Wool of the Andes, the worsted weight 100% wool socks that I made, that I have loved wearing. I have loved wearing them too much because I have already created a hole in my loved socks. I'm so disappointed. Anyway, they are drying. I washed them and they're drying right now. And I'm trying to decide whether I should try to darn them or not. The hole is like quarter sized on the ball of my foot. I'm so sad because they were really keeping my feet so warm, and I have obviously worn them a lot because I've already worked a hole into them. I'm so surprised that I worked a hole into them already, and I'm so disappointed. But anyway, I was talking to my husband before I made a hole in my new socks, and I mentioned to him how that wool was keeping my feet so warm, and I asked would he like a pair of socks or would he rather have a pair of slippers, and he said he would rather have a pair of slippers. And so I got a pattern by Monique Ray for a pair of men's loafer slippers, and they are felted. And I can't show you I'll try to insert a picture. So I started these for him, and they're so funny because, you know, they're felted, so you make them super big and then wash them in hot water to shrink them. So anyway, I have gotten pretty far on this first one. I am using Knit Picks Wool of the Andes in the Bittersweet Heather colorway, which is just a really, really dark brown, almost black. And so I am making the size 11-12, and they are made on these huge needles. They are so, it's so strange to work with these large needles. In fact, this is the first time I've worked with the large set of my interchangeable. I have a ChowGoo interchangeable set, and they have a small section and a large section, and this is the first time that I've used the large needles. They are on size 11 8mm needles. So you start with the, you start at the toe. Can I even tell where the toe is? Yeah, it's up here. You start with the toe and you work the ball of the base of the foot, and then you pick up stitches all the way around. And now I'm working around the sides, and actually now I'm starting short rows back and forth across the heel section to make that a little bit higher. And then I believe I will make a separate flap that goes over the top of the foot and then sew that on before I wash them. So I'm just going to make this first slipper, wash it, and then you're supposed to put it on the recipient's foot to block it to the right size. So I'm just going to do one to make sure that it fits him before I make the second one. So anyway, hopefully that will turn out. I think the slipper looks really cute. Oh, and then my point with telling you all about my hole in my other socks was that if these work out, then I want to make a pair for myself, because I think maybe my socks won't wear as quickly if I wear them in slippers instead of barefoot, because like I mentioned, I have a high arch, and so I think that maybe I wear out the ball of my sock easily because more of my weight is on the ball of my foot since I have a high arch. I don't know for sure, but I was just thinking through that and thinking maybe that was why it was wearing out so quickly. We also have hardwood floors, so I thought maybe that was wearing out my sock more. I think if I wear slippers, then maybe I won't wear out my socks so quickly. Oh, and this is in my Tuft Woolens project bag that I love so much. Okay, my last whip. I feel like I'm going through these quickly, but that's okay. What is my last whip? Oh, before I realized that I had a hole in my new socks, I had already started a second pair because I loved them so much. So now I'm kind of like, I'm not really sure if I should finish them or not. But I'll at least show you. These are also in my Creative Frenzies project bag. And this is as far as I've gotten. I also needed a vanilla, an easy stockinette stitch project to work on for a car ride. And I only had things that I really needed to watch the pattern for. So that was filling that gap. But now I haven't worked on this anymore since I noticed that I had a hole in that sock. I don't know. Anyway, maybe I'll just make them into leg warmers. That's what I was thinking for the socks that have a hole in it too. Maybe I'll just cut back to past the heel and make them into leg warmers. I don't know. I love the warmth that these provide, but I'm really surprised that they aren't more durable. But anyway, I like these colors together so much. This is the current colorway. Again, Knit Picks Wool of the Andes. And the striped color is the Bouquet Heather colorway. I love those colors together. So I'm making these again, same as I did for my last pair, on US 3 needles, which is 3.25 millimeter. I cast on 44 stitches and worked 20 rows of 2x2 ribbing. So that's all I have for those. Just disappointed because I was so excited about making tons of these socks because I love them so much, but I don't know. I'm sad that they didn't work out as well as I thought. Okay, that's all I have. That's all my whips. So I have been graciously gifted a shawl pattern. I teamed up with Madeline Windsor of Kingfisher Knits for the Christy Glass 15 Days of Christy Glass Knit Miss giveaway. And she also gifted, so I teamed up with her because she provided the shawl pattern and I provided the yarn for the kit that was given away. And she also provided me with a shawl pattern for the podcast, as well as me personally. So thank you again so much, Madeline. And she also has a podcast, so you should definitely check that out. Anyway, since I have the shawl pattern to give away, I also wanted to offer another shawl kit to you all. So this is the same exact kit that I gave to Christy Glass to give away for her giveaway, and I thought I would offer it on this podcast as well. So the kit includes these 3 skeins of yarn on my Radiant base, which is the 70% superwash merino, 30% silk. And you get 2 colors of the Vineyard colorway, this one, and 1 skein of the Observe colorway. So it's a tan base, and then it's speckled with navy blue, some deep orange, and plum or burgundy colored specks as well, and browns, and yeah, there's lots of different colors mixed in there, but it's a really pretty colorway. And I'll insert a picture here of the stracciatella shawl that Madeline Windsor designed. And so this also comes along with one of my project bags, which any of the orders that all of my yarn orders come in one of these project bags, as well as stitch markers on each of the skeins. I make these out of different little jewels and beads and things that I have. So all of my yarn always comes with a stitch marker and a project bag. So anyway, this is going to be a giveaway that I'm going to host until the next time I podcast. So there is going to be a thread in the Ravelry group for you to win this kit. So I am going to have you answer the question of not necessarily what is your New Year's resolution, but what is one goal that you have for 2018. So please go enter that giveaway, and I will announce the winner on the next podcast. And thanks again so much, Madeline, for your generous donation of the shawl pattern. And then, though that is already a shawl kit, I did want to share with you one more kit that I have for a shawl that is going out in the mail tomorrow, and I just wanted to show it off. So my cousin actually contacted me and asked me to come up with a kit for her to make the Find Your Fade shawl by Andrea Mowry, which takes up to 7 skeins of yarn, which she wanted. So she wanted to start with a light pink, whoa, and fade into a navy blue. So I don't think I'm going to be able to hold these all up at once, but the light pink I just speckled very, very lightly with blue. And pink. Tiny, tiny though. I mean, like you can barely see it. And it's blowing out too. There, that's a little better. And then fades into a pink with some more speckles of blue and pink in it. So this fades into this. And then I did a half and half of pink and blue, also speckled with pink and blue. I love that one, how it is half and half. And then that fades into this light blue with light blue speckles and a tiny bit of pink. Then it goes into a little bit darker, a little bit more navy in there, and even darker yet with more navy. That's a really pretty color on its own, I think. And then lastly, it goes into the navy. So, New Year's is in just a few days, and I just am so grateful for all of the challenges that I have taken on in 2017. I first learned how to knit in 2017, which, as you can tell, has completely transformed my crafting time. Before that, I only crocheted, and I crocheted all the time. But now that I've learned to knit, I just can't stop. So that was a huge challenge that I was able to accomplish, and I'm so glad that I did. And I also started dyeing yarn in 2017, and that has completely transformed my business. Prior to that, I only crocheted and sold ready-made items. And I still have some items in my Etsy shop that are crocheted and ready to, accessories mainly. And, but that has completely transformed, my business, and in such a good way. I have really enjoyed dyeing yarn, and the challenge of coming up with new colorways or perfecting colorways can be so frustrating sometimes, but also so rewarding. But it's been a wonderful learning experience, and it's exciting to be able to see the growth that I've been able to make already. I was, just this last week, I have a notebook where I've been keeping all of the recipes for my different colorways, and I just got a small, actually it's like a photo album, and I copied all of my different recipes onto index cards and put them into this small photo album so that they'll be better, more protected. And anyway, it was just interesting to look back at some of the first recipes that I came up with and the process. I was very detailed and writing down how I dyed each colorway, but some of the processes that I went through at the beginning were like a little overkill. I don't know. It's just interesting to be able to see how I've transformed the way that I dye in such a short time. So that's been exciting. And then also I started this podcast this year. So it's been a great year for really some challenging things for me that I have really enjoyed taking on. So I'm excited for 2018 to see what is in store for next year. And anyway, it is snowing right now. Again, we've had so much snow here, and I'm so grateful we had a white Christmas. There wasn't a ton of snow on Christmas, but at least it was white. And we've gotten more snow since. My kids have been having so much fun sledding outside. Even though it's been bitterly cold, they go out for, 10 minutes at a time before they have to come back in for hot cocoa. I've lost count of how many times I've made hot cocoa, but that's okay. And anyway, we are just having so much fun. Winter is my very favorite season, and I just think it's so beautiful. I love it so much. Our Christmas was wonderful. Our kids got lots of fun toys. My eldest boy really, really had his heart set on a Polar Express toy train, and he got it. And he has just had so much fun playing with it ever since. So that's been really fun to see him enjoy that so much. I'm super excited for some new cast-ons and knit-alongs that I'm going to be joining in the new year. I also recently stumbled across a podcast, which I had heard of her yarn, but I didn't realize that she had a podcast, which is Bethany of the Woolberry Fiber Co. And she, like I said, also has a podcast that I recently discovered. And she is also hosting a Scrappy Sock knit-along in the new year. So I'm really excited to start a pair of those on January 1st. And then I'm also really excited to start to join the knit-along with Amy of Amy's Little Kingdom podcast. She just recently came out with a Lily cardigan pattern, and she is hosting a knit-along for that pattern, and I have ordered the yarn and am waiting for it to arrive, and she, is encouraging people to start that knit-along on January 1st as well, so I'm super excited to start that. So those are a few of the projects that are on my horizon, and anyway, I am just so thankful for you all joining me. I'm so thankful for the new year ahead, and I hope that you all have a very happy new year. And thank you again so much for joining me. If you enjoyed this podcast, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe to this channel if you would like. I'd really appreciate that. Thank you so much for joining me. Bye.